The new Doom the Dark Ages DLC trailer changes absolutely everything. From major blink-and-you'll-miss-it enemy reveals to our first glimpse at the Wretch's full design, nothing will be the same after this video. So let's get straight into the full Doom the Dark Ages Revelations trailer breakdown. Today we'll be covering all of the new demons, levels, combat elements, and surprising lore developments that were packed into the reveal. But first I wanted to kick things off with the most interesting part of the trailer, the massive surprise reveal that the DLC is introducing playable classic Doom flashback sequences. We don't see much of them during the trailer, but what's present tells us a lot. The first clip shows Doomguy fighting through Mission 2 Underhalls from Doom 2, which appears to have flat, classic textures instead of the full 3D environments featured in the other flashback segments. It's unclear why this specific environment is visually distinct in comparison to the Earth levels, but it may suggest that Doom 2016's retro bonus maps are returning as optional secrets alongside the dedicated flashbacks. The second classic gameplay clip shows Doomguy equipping the shotgun in what seems to be an alleyway back on his original Earth. We get a good look at both the new classic gloves that have been modeled specifically for Dark Ages and the fully modernized shotgun, which has the iconic IDKFA cheat code etched onto the right side. While the environment itself is nothing special, it's worth noting that they have kept classic Doom's cramped hallway level structure even in these segments with modernized graphics. The final classic segment depicts the Slayer having an active flashback to what appears to be a hospital setting. 3 monumental reveals are shown during this incredibly brief segment. First, we learn that Flynn Taggart is Doomguy's official canon name, as what's likely a fellow Marine yells for him to stand back. Next, we see a child shrouded in shadow holding a plush toy. The final shot reveals that the girl is actually holding a stuffed Daisy, hinting that this could very well be our first ever look at Doomguy's daughter, who will no doubt be killed during Hell's invasion. Before moving on to all of the new enemies, I wanted to quickly mention that a prototype version of the Doom 2016 Predator armor does make an appearance in the gameplay portion of the trailer. The gauntlet undeniably resembles the one worn by the Slayer during the UAC Mars base event. However, the shift in color, alternate finger plates, and chainmail between the joints indicates that it's an earlier version of the suit built from the remnants of his destroyed Dark Ages Sentinel gear. We can actually see the Wretch building the suit, but we'll discuss that more later on in the video. 7 brand new enemies and 4 variants of existing Dark Ages demons were introduced in the trailer and key art. Everyone's favorite nuisance, the Archvile, has returned, which was previously announced by game director Hugo Martin during an episode of Slayers Club Live. Its design is a more hellified take on the classic sprite, and it can be seen performing the iconic raised arm pose in both the trailer and key art, which does make me feel like this iteration of the Archvile may adapt the moveset of his original counterpart. A never-before-seen enemy that's currently unnamed pops up several times throughout the gameplay footage. This is one of the most unique demons we've seen from Dark Ages so far, as it sports a heavy shield, integrated rocket boosters, and a mechanical javelin arm while using a rolling wheel to traverse the environment. Spectre variants of the Whiplash and Revenant make brief appearances at various points alongside what I believe is the uncloaked version of the new Nightmare Revenant. The Pain Elemental returns with a wicked cosmic remix of his standard design, and with it has come otherworldly variants of the Lost Souls. It was previously confirmed that the narrative will feature more immersive first-person cutscenes similar to those found in Doom 2016, and this Pain Elemental cutscene seems to confirm that enemy introductions will be reintroduced as a part of that. The unused wizard character from the game's concept art has made it into the DLC as an intimidating new foe called the Warlock, which seems to be another completely original heavy demon that will surely give even the most seasoned slayers a worthy challenge. It's presented as a sort of summoner in the initial concept art, so I do wonder how they'll differentiate him from the Acolyte and Archvile. It's difficult to determine exactly what's being shown, but I believe we can see a Prowler being roasted over a fire in the Wretch's Forge. This doesn't mean that Prowlers will return as actual enemies though, as this may just be a cool Easter egg. The expansion's key art reveals a Fireborn Hell Knight that's similar in appearance to Eternal's version of the Baron, and he's standing near a reskinned Agadon Hunter who wields a giant warhammer. A few brief gameplay clips indicate that the upgraded Agadons are just as, if not more aggressive than their standard counterparts, but it thankfully looks like the Chain Spear has no problem keeping up with their attack pattern. I'll be grouping the next 3 characters in with what some may consider to be some pretty heavy story spoilers. So anyone who would like to avoid having major narrative beats spoiled a month early can skip to the combat and level section of the video. Early on in the trailer, we get a handful of quick glimpses at a monstrous mutated enemy that nearly kills the Slayer in front of Hell's High Council. A promotional screenshot reveals that Belias, the Hell Priest who reported Prince Azric's progress during the campaign, is standing in the exact same spot as the unidentified creature who mutates into the giant that defeats the Slayer. One frame of the trailer shows that our mysterious monster has 4 fingers and a skeletal face with long hair, just like Belias, possibly suggesting that we'll have a boss battle with a greatly empowered version of the character early on in the expansion. In a pretty surprising turn of events, it seems like we'll also have a full boss fight against a maker-controlled version of Merrick, the Betrayer's son. He charges towards the camera with a parryable attack while wearing the same chestplate device that allowed the makers to brainwash Doomguy, making it clear that the Con Maker doesn't want the Slayer escaping from Hell. This has some pretty big implications. It primarily suggests that the Khan is the one who set the Slayer up to fall at the hands of the High Council, but it could also imply that we'll witness the very start of the Argenta Civil War after the Slayer inevitably returns to Argenta Nor and reveals that the Khan has taken control over one of the Sentinel Army's most prominent soldiers in an attempt to silence their hero. The final character shown during the trailer is the Wretch himself, who appears to be voiced by Darren DePaul. Most people are probably already aware that you can catch several glimpses of the character's arms, including a scene where he begins to forge what is likely the prototype Praetor suit. But what most people haven't noticed is that you may actually be able to see his full design. During the scene where the Slayer picks up the chain spear in the Wretch's forge, you can spot a hooded figure with multiple limbs crawling out from a hole in the top right corner of the screen. We already know from other scenes that the Wretch has more than just 2 arms, and it seems like the forge is a safe zone, so it's incredibly likely that we're seeing the Wretch here. Furthermore, the new key art features a hooded spider-like creature with multiple limbs that isn't featured anywhere else in the trailer, potentially providing the community with an even better look at the Wretch's design. Major special thanks to Icon of Simp for bringing that to my attention. I likely would have missed it if it weren't for his suggestion. Moving into the levels and combat, it seems as if the Wretch's Forge is the new hub and not the Creedmaker's ship like we had previously theorized. And this area is presumably connected to Hell's Core, the first of 5 total levels spotted in the trailer. One area of note that I would like to highlight is this cave that features Maker technology, which is an odd thing to see in a level this deep within the underworld, so I wonder if it relates to the Khan's deal with Hell. The second level shown in the trailer, Osius, makes several appearances during the various arena fights. I couldn't find anything of note within these petrified bone sands, however it does seem like the environment from the previously revealed concept art does show up around the middle of the trailer. Several shots of what is likely the DLC's first chapter are present during the introduction, implying that we may fight through a pretty standard Hell mission before being sent down to the core. The Slayer will unsurprisingly be returning to the Cosmic Realm at some point during his quest of ascension. One of the trailer's most mysterious clips depicts Doomguy inserting a Maker device into a cosmic contraption, which may relate to the broken Maker technology lying around Hell. The final level shown is set on Argenta Nor, home of the Sentinels. Only a single gameplay segment takes place in this environment, leading me to believe that it may serve as either a small portion of a larger chapter or even as the final mission, explaining the secrecy surrounding the map. The combat is easily the most impressive element showcased in the Revelations reveal footage. The main focus of most gameplay clips is the chain spear, which seems to carry a very wide variety of actions on a single input. I believe this is accomplished with the implementation of spear stances. As you can see the Slayer break a row of shields while the spear is in a downward stance before he then moves it into an upward position to throw them at enemies. The horizontal swipe attack performed while in the downward position can seemingly parry incoming attacks on top of shattering armor, and doing so successfully spawns a rotating ghost spear that cuts through crowds after being upgraded. A spear projectile can be seen bouncing from one Pinky Rider to the next after the player follows a parry with a throw in the upward position, and I assume that's an upgrade as well. Shield blocking has been replaced with a rapid twirl that deflects hit scan projectiles back at enemies like the Chain Gunner and Cyber Demon. I'm honestly surprised that this wasn't an upgrade for the shield in the main campaign, but I'm happy to see them implement a hard counter for hit scan projectiles regardless. In order to counteract some of the more aggressive additions to the enemy roster, an omnidirectional evade can be accessed in place of parries while using the spear. It's unclear if perfect evades grant any sort sort of bonus, although it is certain that this won't be a mobility dash similar to what was featured in Eternal. After sprint leaping into the air, players will be able to grapple onto enemies to keep their air momentum going for a limited time, allowing the player to act like a living wrecking ball. Grapple points have also been placed across the expansion's levels in order to further increase mobility, and it appears that you will eventually gain the ability to slam back down into the ground to create a massive electric shockwave. Game director Hugo Martin has confirmed that players can rapidly quick swap between the chain spear and the shield saw, creating some of the craziest combat potential in Doom's history. Not much of the shield is shown in the trailer, and that's likely due to the fact that it's destroyed pretty early on in the expansion. It is eventually repaired by the Wretch, who gives it a row of wicked demon bone blades and some sort of enchantment that presumably comes with its own set of new upgrades to explore. I wanted to take a moment to thank Icon of Simp, Sneaky J. Cole, Hato, Absolute Doc, Soap to Go, Just Good Not Great, Cuddly Kraken, and Austin for all the help in pointing out little details and making sure that I caught everything that I possibly could. I also wanted to apologize if the narration in this video was a little all over the place. I've done a lot of recording today and I'm starting to lose my voice, so it's been pretty difficult to keep a constant tone throughout the entirety of this video. Additional story details that weren't covered here today were revealed alongside the trailer's release. Click on the video that's on screen now to learn more. Thank you all so much for watching today's video, I hope you enjoyed it. That's pretty much all that I have for now, though. Until next time.